Good morning, everybody. Jesse Montano, Guerilla Sports, back at it. July 15th, Monday morning. It is Monday for absolute sure. Woke up this morning. It felt like a Monday. Drove in. Actually, you know what? The drive-in did not feel like a Monday. I'm automatically complaining for no reason because it's Monday. I had a great drive-in, very little traffic, nice day out. I got a hoodie on because it's kind of chilly here in the studio. And we got a couple different shows that I'll be on today. We got this one right here, Guerilla Sports Daily, getting you caught up on everything that happened over the weekend. We got Guerilla Hockey Colorado coming up at noon, where I'll be talking to you through everything that is going on with the Colorado Avalanche roster, where it sits right now. We're going to take a look at some of those projected lineups. And then at 2 p.m. this afternoon, 2 p.m. Mountain Time, it'll be Liv Moods and former Bronco Nate Jackson taking you guys through everything with the lead up to camp. I think we're 11 days out from the kickoff of Broncos training camp, so it is right around the corner. But gosh, I don't know, guys. Nothing really happened this weekend. Kind of a boring, slow news cycle this weekend, eh? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just being told that it was actually one of the biggest news headline weekends in America since 2020. Also, how upsetting is it that I only had to go back to 2020. It wasn't all that long ago. That international headlines, it seemed like. Crazy weekend, obviously, in America. A lot going on in the news. I'm sure you've been following. But there was also a lot that went on this weekend, sports news headline-wise. This was this is such a fun job because I get to get text messages from Jay like, oh my gosh, are you seeing the chaos that's unfolding in Miami right now? As Copa America comes to an end, but with a bang in the not the way that you want, not the type of bang that you want to a tournament to go out with. We had a Euro Cup final that went off that we were texting JJ about on the weekend. As part of what makes this job fun is that your work conversations get to be what is happening in the world of sports and what the craziness is. And that's what we're going to go through. I just jumped over to the comments. Hey, from Milan. Look at that. Starting off Monday in Milan with Guerilla Sports Daily. Well, we want to get you guys caught up on everything. And we are going to start here locally in Denver. A bit of devastating news. Blow to the Denver Nuggets as first round pick DaRon Holmes is out for the season. Tears his Achilles in a summer league game. And I mean, your heart just absolutely breaks for him, the player. But before we get into that, and I want to talk about the statement he put out, because really, I mean, it just breaks your heart. Young kid, worked his whole life to get to this point, be achieving, the dream. You're making your way into the NBA. You're trying to find your way as a professional. You're getting your first taste of it in summer league, and to have something like that happen, I mean, your heart just absolutely aches for Holmes. His statement on Twitter, which was this morning at 7:20 a.m., so about 3 hours ago, from DaRon Holmes himself, on the way to surgery. Wanted to thank everyone who reached out. It really means a lot. It was very cool to see how many people care, people I would never expect. Human nature can be a beautiful thing, man. With that being said, I'll be back and better soon. Let's get to work. I do also know his dad had put out a statement earlier in the weekend just saying that, now that they've had, they had 24 hours to process everything, they were shifting their focus towards him getting better and the recovery process side of it. But I imagine that had to be a pretty devastating blow for the first 24 hours for DaRon Holmes, especially for it to happen the way that it does in a summer league game, in a game that I don't want to say doesn't matter, but I mean, it's exhibition. It's very much used for development, and to see that happen in a moment like that, your heart goes out to DaRon Holmes. And then on the business side, on the basketball side, this is a massive blow for the Denver Nuggets. This is a player that look, he was going to be a rookie this year. You weren't expecting him to come in and take over and be the new dominant force necessarily for the Denver Nuggets. But this was a player the Nuggets had high hopes for. Someone that could come in and contribute right away. We've talked a lot on this show recently, especially in these sports where you have a salary cap, even though the NBA works their hardest to get around the salary cap. You need young players coming in on cheap contracts being able to contribute. And the fact of the matter is, with a lot of the changeover that's going on with the Denver Nuggets right now, a lot of the talk around Jamal Murray still hasn't signed the extension. This was a player that there was a lot of high hopes for, that maybe even high expectations for. Going to have to wait at least a year before we see how that plays out. Shades of MPJ here, where it's like, man, now what is he going to be when he finally is ready to hit the active roster? So as much as you think about it from Holmes's perspective and what it means for him, you cannot help but going back over, swinging over to the Nuggets side of it and saying, what does this mean for them, their bench, the way that they're going to operate this year? And what does it mean for Holmes as a prospect now going to go an entire year without playing basketball on an injury that we've seen players in the NBA have come back, have very successful stints or runs. But at the same time, we have seen this type of injury become an issue for players in the NBA on a bit of a recurring basis. So a lot to take in here with the DaRon Holmes injury if you're the Denver Nuggets. And again, I don't want to completely dismiss what this means for Holmes himself. Just a devastating blow for a young player. And it does. It just eats you up a bit for him that you get to this point only to have that happen in an exhibition game. I believe it was his first game, second game? Early in Summer League, and just devastating for both the Nuggets and for DaRon Holmes himself. We'll be following more on what the Nuggets got going from Summer League this week. We'll have Liv Moods. I believe we got 2 Nugget shows scheduled for this week. We'll have Brandon Cristal checking in live from Vegas tomorrow with everything that's going on with the Denver Nuggets out at NBA Summer League. So stay locked here to Guerilla Sports. We'll be bringing you guys updates on this all week long. I'm sure Liv was probably wishing that she could have done today's show. I'm sure she's got a lot to say about this. Potentially expect to hear from Liv on this again tomorrow morning. I think we're going to touch on baseball for the first time, Jay. I think we're going to go to baseball for the first time. MLB draft was this weekend. Colorado Rockies selecting Charlie Condon. Now, Charlie Condon immediately becomes the best prospect in the Rockies system, with many lists having Condon ranked first or second in their, not necessarily their mock drafts, but their rankings. An exciting player, heavy power hitter. And look, I was just talking with someone this morning about the Rockies, and I don't even know if you can say what they're building. Can we say what they're building? Do they build teams? I'm not really sure. Or are they just kind of there to, collect beer money? Doesn't matter. What the Rockies should do is trying to acquire players like Charlie Condon. Now, obviously, you're like, hey, Jesse, yeah, just get more 3rd overall picks. Great strategy. What I mean is power hitter, big swing Charlie Condon. Look, that's what everyone talks about with playing at Coors Field anyway. The balls fly further. It's easier to hit here. Load up on power hitters. Get strength in the box. Like I like this pick a lot. Again, it's hard for me to even say anything about a player that the Colorado Rockies picked that's a high-end prospect. Because what you expect is for him to come up through AAA, get to the major leagues, start to make an impact, and then see him moved. Historically, that's what we see with the Colorado Rockies. I really like this pick. Like I said, it's a player that you could find plenty of ranking lists that had him in the top 2. The Rockies were able to get him at 3. I like the pick. Infield, outfield from Georgia, from the Georgia Bulldogs, University of Georgia. And like I said, big thing about him is he can hit. widely considered, maybe not widely considered, considered by many to be the best player in this draft. A great pick by the Colorado Rockies, getting him at 3. Charlie Condon, we'll see if he can have an impact in the next couple of years. Baseball is so similar to hockey, which is the world that I come from, where these development tracks are long. But you're looking at Paul Skeens and what he's doing for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and you're saying, I don't know, maybe if you got Condon being taken at 3, this can be a little bit more of an expedited track, get him to be impactful in the major leagues. But really, how hopeful if you're a Rockies fan out there, how hopeful are you that they are not only going to be able to have him be an impactful player, but that they're going to do the right thing by Condon when it comes time to in just a few years. The Cleveland Guardians did have the first overall pick, took Travis Bazana, second baseman from Oregon State, kept things very close to the vest. Again, this was not necessarily a consensus 1 overall pick. As I mentioned, Charlie Condon had some buzz there as well. So did Chase Burns, who went second overall to the Reds. Man, tough year of baseball last year in the state of Ohio. Okay? Charlie Condon goes to the Rockies at 3. We'll see what they can do with it there. I like the pick, but we'll have to see. Home Run Derby tonight, just so everybody is keeping an eye out for it. MLB All-Star Week is in full swing, and that Home Run Derby is going tonight. For my money, the most exciting day on the MLB calendar. It's always an absolute pleasure. It's always a blast to watch. As I'm looking up exactly who's in it, because I ran out of time on my notes right before we got started here. But I lived downtown here in Denver when the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game came through Coors Field just a couple seasons ago, and I tried really hard to get tickets just to the Home Run Derby. We walked down, we waited as late as we could, tried to wait right up until it started to maybe see if anybody was, trying to get rid of tickets at the last second. And we couldn't get any. They were just too expensive. And I was so bummed all night. We sat out in McGregor Square and watched it out there, and it was just fantastic. But I was so bummed because it seems like so much fun to be at a Home Run Derby. Pete Alonso from the Mets, Alec Boehm from the Phillies, Adolis Garcia from the Texas Rangers, Gunnar Henderson from the Orioles, Tuescar Hernandez from the Dodgers, Marcell Ozuna from the Braves, Jose Ramirez from the Guardians, and Bobby Witt Jr. from the Kansas City Royals are your Home Run Derby participants for tonight. Looking forward to that. That kicks off at 6 o'clock Mountain Time at Globe Life Field, home of the Texas Rangers. Should be a fun one. Tonight, I will be tuning in. All right, shifting our focus to soccer. We got some results. We got some finals, and I'm honestly bummed that these tournaments are over. One, because I did have fun following the drama. 2, we had Netherlands go all the way to the semifinals, which was really fun to follow. Jay's home country. And then we had Spain win the whole thing, and that's not necessarily JJ's home country, but that's where he's from. That's where his family's from. It's his heritage. So he was excited, loving it all week, all month. And I'm sure he was having a blast all week. And as Spain wins the Euro Cup 2024, going undefeated. I thought the wheels were going to fall off right there in the final. That's always how you see it. Spain ends up being perfect in the tournament. Coming into this tournament, Spain, and I know there is some disagreement about maybe the way that some of these rankings are done, what all they take into account and what all they don't. Spain came into this tournament as the number 3 ranked team in the world, and in the process, they knocked off, or at least in Europe, in the process, they knocked off the 1, 2, 4, and 5 over these last couple of weeks on their way to a Euro Cup 2024 championship. 2-1 was the final on that. Just wanted to make sure I hadn't missed it. 2-1 is the final. Congrats to Spain. Really, I talked about it last week when they moved from the semifinals into the finals. Their game really just kind of felt like business as usual. And they felt in control, and they felt like such a mature team. And again, I feel like those are the types of groups that you see get to this moment, the ones that can handle the pressure, that can handle the moment. And on the biggest stages, that's where the championship mentality is truly separated. Not only can you score the big goal, win the big game, but can you do it at the biggest moments? And I felt like every time that we watched Spain have a moment where it felt like their backs should have been up against the wall, poised, calm, collected, 2-1 final in the championship to come away with the 2024 Euro Cup. I believe their fourth Euro Cup, most in history, in the history of this tournament at least. And like I said, undefeated. They carry their dominance through, right through to the end. Now I'm trying to pull one thing up real quick, because there's a lot to talk about on the Copa America side. Argentina does win the Copa America. Messi adds to his ridiculous wealth of titles. His second Copa America championship. He's got a World Cup, obviously. Some of the criticism that had been levied against him in his career was the lack of major trophies. Well, I don't think you can really say that anymore. 45 individual trophies for Messi career to date. 1 World Cup, 2 Copa Americas, 4 Champions Leagues, 10 La Ligas, 8 Ballon d'Ors. I don't even know what that is. I'm not sure what that. We need to get Jay a microphone. Oh, MVPs. All right, MVP. 8 MVPs. Jeez Louise. 6 European Golden Boots. 45 collective trophies. 45. The conversation about GOAT is over, right? It's over. I'm getting an emphatic head nod from Jay. It's over. He's got the individual accolades. He's got the MVPs. He's got international success. He's got professional league success. Yeah, the conversation's done. Congratulations to Lionel Messi and the rest of Argentina. Back-to-back Copa America championships. And like I said, coming off a recent World Cup as well. But as was the situation last week with Copa America, the conversation doesn't stop with who won the game. Chaos. Chaos in Miami as Argentina and Colombia fans stormed the Hard Rock, I almost said hotel, Hard Rock Stadium, and I mean, destroyed it. Thousands of fans entering the grounds, or at least hundreds of fans entering the grounds without tickets, leading to overcrowding, stampeding, people pushing and shoving at the door, leading to mass chaos, people getting separated from their groups. While the stadium was waiting to open the gates officially before the game was set to start, the overcrowding began and the pushing and shoving began. I think we got some clips of it here. Oh, yeah. So not only once the overcrowding began, we started seeing people just rush into the stadium. Whether they had tickets or not, folks were just forcing their way in, whether it be through designated entry points or otherwise, all the way up to this. Fans finding ventilation systems that they could access and get in. Here's some of the crowding at the gate. This is just trying to get in. This is where ticketed fans were trying to have tickets scanned just to get in. Folks who either had tickets or didn't have tickets were taking advantage of the chaos and trying to push past whether they had a ticket or not. Everyone was trying to get in, and this is the one right here. This is the image right here for me, that this goes beyond, because look, there was a lot of criticism about were they prepared? Was there enough security? Where were the police? All that. And I think those are all completely legitimate. We're going to talk about that in a second, the preparedness of it. Because, oh, by the way, when the World Cup comes to North America for the next World Cup, Hard Rock Stadium is a host stadium. So when we talked last week about, there's upcoming games and how are they going to be able to handle when there was a brawl that broke out in the stands, we were saying, this raises security concerns, but that stadium actually isn't on the World Cup list. The city is, that stadium is not. Not the case here. Hard Rock Stadium in Miami will be a host city and a host stadium for the World Cup. So yes, there's absolutely questions about security and venue and preparedness, 100%. We're going to talk about that. But the images that were right there at the end of that video with the escalators just destroyed, that is fans being out of control. That's mob mentality taking over and just destroying your environment. That's not, that right there isn't a lack of security. So I think there were a couple issues here, one of which being the behavior of the fans, the other being, yes, the venue was not well prepared. The security clearly wasn't up to snuff. And really what this looks like, because you could make the argument based on what we've seen in video, that a lot of the chaos started outside of the arena, people trying to get in. That video that we were showing just a minute ago of folks with a ladder erected jumping over the wall. Folks entering in through air, ventilation systems, air duct, centralized air duct vents. It's like that right there. Like, that is some of the craziest shit I've ever seen. We've seen video of folks trying to sneak into events, concerts, things like that. That is something else. And of course, it raises security concerns because you have a lot of people entering the stadium, not going through standard metal detection, bag checks, things like that. And it led to mass confusion. And there were folks who were supposed to be in there, either not being permitted entry. There were folks who were getting to their seats only to find people sitting on them and kind of being told tough luck. And when they went to security was saying, there's too many people here. There's nothing we can do about it. Folks paid upwards, and I'm sure more than $2,000 per ticket to get into this event, only to find someone standing in their seats, giving them the literal middle finger, telling them to go find somewhere else to be. It's dangerous. It's a fire hazard, no doubt about it. And it's just, it's not to, look, I grew up every day being told by my dad, life isn't fair. Anytime I told my dad life's not fair, he said, or anytime I told my dad, that's not fair, he said, life's not fair. So I know by me saying, it's not fair to the people that bought tickets, I'm going to get some folks out there who say, well, no, it's not about being fair. But in this situation, when you spend $2,000 on a ticket, you deserve a fair shot at getting your seat. Jay, do we have that video of the media member? No, not in there. There was a video that, again, there's so much video to go through from just this one event that, again, we're talking about the Copa America, and this is the second time in a row, or third time in a row, where we've had to spend more time talking about the chaos and the overall disorganization of this event more so than we are the game. Like, we joked about it a couple of weeks ago when the tournament was just really getting going about how they do it every 2 years, but sometimes every 4, but like a couple times it's been every 3. And then like this year, it's 2 years in a row. This tournament doesn't have their stuff together. And it's leading to incidents like what we've seen. These are now 2 major security breakdowns in the 2 biggest games at the Copa America. How do you expect anybody to have any faith that your tournament is going to be legit or safe for them to attend when you just clearly showed that not only did you put this tournament together what feels kind of like at the last minute for them doing it as abruptly as they did, given that they just did one so recently, but it's like, were you really just completely looking at this as a money grab? Did you not, you didn't prepare at all? You grabbed a couple venues in a couple cities that are going to be World Cup host cities and just kind of cross your fingers and hope that it would go okay? That's what it feels like to me. Jay, is that what it feels like to you? That's kind of what it feels like to us. I don't know. We'll see. These are incidents. Go ahead and roll that other video that we've got from Hard Rock. Again, like these are all folks that you're seeing right here. These are a lot of people who were trying to just kind of do the right thing, wait to get their tickets scanned. The crowding eventually breaks the barrier down. Folks are saying, well, I'm not going back into that. There's young kids crying. We saw the dog get let off the leash, and you can see another young lady come through moments later looking clearly concerned, like she's looking for the dog. It's not good. It's a massive blemish on the entire event, but in particular the championship game, where we should be talking more about what it is that Lionel Messi did and what he was able to accomplish with that win yesterday. Back-to-back Copa America championships, and really kind of solidifying his place at the top of the international soccer mountain, and what all came along with that. But no, instead we're talking about carnage at the front gates, people getting trampled, property being destroyed. I mentioned it last week on a show that what is so much fun, I think, about soccer and that community is how amazingly passionate those fans are. Because it's something that Jay said last week when we were gearing up for a Netherlands game, and someone said, "Oh, Jay, is your team playing?" And he said, "It's not my team, it's my country." You get to see these teams be representative of an entire nation of people, and the passion and the love that gets put behind all that. It's amazing when it boils over in the ways that it did in both the Copa America semifinal and the final. It takes away from the game. It takes away from the passion. And it's something that really kind of just leaves a sour taste in your mouth on the whole thing. If you were an Argentina fan that attended that game yesterday, bought tickets, couldn't get to your seat, had your kids scared by what was happening at the front gate, that experience yesterday is something completely different than what you thought you were signing up for. And it's a shame. It's a shame that that's what we ended up talking about most of all with Copa America today. But when I was going through the footage yesterday, last night, Jay and I, Jay sent me a text like, you got to make sure you're checking all this out. And truly, just kind of stunning scenes there from Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. I think that's going to do it for us today, you guys. I think that is everything that really jumped off the page from us this weekend. Liv will be back in the saddle tomorrow here for Guerrilla Sports Daily, so make sure you guys are tuning into that. But before we get there, we got a jam-packed schedule for you guys today. Here at noon, just 90 minutes from now, Guerrilla Hockey Colorado. We'll be walking you guys through everything Avs and where they're at this summer. And then Liv, Moods, and Nate Jackson walking you guys through as we are about a week and some change from Broncos training camp opening up. So they'll be taking you through everything on that. We got Chloe over here running a live version of this on our social media. We got Jay back there running the board, as always, guys, making sure that all this stuff goes off without a hitch. So for those two, I'm Jesse Montano. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys here in just a little bit. Have a great morning.